Have you ever bought something from a professional salesperson? I have. This suit that I'm wearing right here, I bought this from a very professional salesperson. How does it make you feel when you buy something from a professional salesperson? For me, it's a very enjoyable experience. I love it. If done right, you should enjoy being sold. And you know what? People do enjoy being sold when it is done properly. Sales is an honorable profession. The problem is that most people, especially salespeople, or I should say even salespeople, don't always see it as an honorable profession. You know, perhaps they see it as being pushy if they're trying to sell somebody something. Nothing else could be further from the truth. If you're selling properly, you're establishing a need and you're fulfilling a need. You're helping them out if you have a good product. And if you don't have a good product, then sell something else. But if you have a genuinely good product, you are doing something honorable. The problem is most people or some people view being a salesperson or making cold calls as below their dignity. Making cold calls is not below your dignity. Not achieving your dreams, not being able to take your family on vacations or do the things that you want. That's what is below your dignity. Being a salesperson is an honorable profession. My mother said to me once, she said, Ronnie, which is what my mother calls me, Ronnie, it's what she named me. She said, Ronnie, I don't know how you can get up in the morning every day and go to work and not know how much money you're going to make. And I didn't even think about it for half a second. I replied with as much respect as I could because she was my mother. I replied to her by saying, well, Mom, I'll be honest with you. I don't know how you can get up every morning and go to work and know how much money you're going to make. For me, there would be no motivation to that. I want to be paid on my performance. And because of that, I've chosen the profession of sales. If you want to be paid on your performance, paid on how well you achieve, sales is a great choice. It is the world's most highest paid profession. It is an honorable choice. It is a choice that has dignity. And that is my mission today. I want to share with you how honorable it is to be a salesperson. I want to give you some tips on how to be a better salesperson. You know what? In college, what were doctors doing? They were going to med school, right? Lawyers were law students. What were salespeople? I don't know what we were doing. We were the ones running around having fun, and now we're salespeople. And that is the personality of a lot of people in sales. Sales can be fun if you make it fun, and I hope that you do. Now, here's where most salespeople don't make it fun. They don't view sales as an art. They view it as something that they have to do to pay their bills. It's not something you have to do to pay your bills. Sales is an art, and it should flow, and it should be natural, and it should be beautiful to watch. The gentleman who sold me this suit, I tell you something, it was a beautiful thing to watch. I didn't necessarily want to buy the suit, but through his sales process, I was enjoying it. I was laughing. I was having a good time. He was telling me how nice I looked in the suit, and I said, I'll take it. I walked out of there because it was an enjoyable experience. Now, here's the problem. Since they don't see it as an art, what sales people tend to do oftentimes is they'll just argue with the person. Now, not intentionally argue, but this is oftentimes what they'll do. They'll say, here's my product, look at it, it flips, it spins, it doesn't need batteries, you'll lose weight on this. If you take it, you'll look more handsome and people are going to love you if you buy this product. Now, there's only 2 of them left, so you better get it now. Sign it now while you can. And they're almost arguing with the person. And that's why you have the opinion that salespeople can be pushy. As a salesperson, you don't want to argue with the people. You want to lead them. There is Ed McMahon, the host or the co-host of The Tonight Show. He once said that the secret to sales, which he was a good salesman, by the way, he said that the secret to sales is all you have to do is make them think that it was their idea. Now, how in the world do you make somebody think it was their idea to buy this particular car, or to buy this home, or to buy this insurance package, or to buy this mortgages? You make them think it was their idea. And when I say that, I don't mean manipulation. I mean you just lead them and you're helping them. You ask them questions. Questions are the key to the sales process. You ask them questions to establish a need. If you listen closely enough, that person will tell you exactly what they need to buy from you. And you get that through question. Now, just because you're asking questions doesn't mean that it's an intelligent question. Again, you don't want to tell somebody, argue with them by flips and spins and bounces and glows. You don't want to do that. You want to ask them questions. Now, like I said, just because you're asking a question doesn't mean it's an intelligent question. These questions have to be leading questions. You want to lead, not push. Now, what do I mean? Well, you want to ask a question, but it doesn't mean it's an intelligent question. What I mean is this. Salespeople can ask the stupidest questions, okay? And I should know. Some of them have worked for me, and they have asked some incredibly stupid questions. One of the ways I set my meetings and I set my seminars up is through telemarketers. And I'll have telemarketers, and they'll call car dealerships, real estate companies, mortgage companies, and they'll call these businesses and they'll ask, when do you have your weekly sales meeting? When do you have your annual conference? When is your next convention? And the person will say, well, my next convention is going to be in December in Miami. And then my telemarketers, they are supposed to say, well, I tell you what, Ron could speak on this day of your convention, or he could speak on that day. After they give their entire sales presentation, that's the very end. That's what in sales we call the close. And at that close, they can say, well, he can speak on this day, or he can speak on that day. Which one is better for you? Now, that's an assumptive close. Basically, at that point, the prospect on the other end of the line has to say, no, we don't want to do it. We don't want to have Ron out. I had a telemarketer once, and you know what? Almost all my telemarketers go through this stage, and the stage is this. They will give their entire sales presentation, and then when they get down to the close, instead of doing what I asked them to do, very politely, by the way, instead of asking them doing what I asked them to do by doing the assumptive close, which one of these days would work better for you, they say, Ron's a good speaker, doesn't it sound like it? Do you want to have him speak for your convention? And whenever they say that, it drives me nuts, because that is just an opportunity for the person to say, no, I don't. Thank you for calling. Let me get off the phone. I was sitting in my office about a year ago, and the telemarketer at the office next to me, he gave a dynamic presentation. It was an incredible presentation. I would have booked me to speak after I heard him just tell him how he described that I was going to be fun, professional, educational, entertaining. He had motivated me. But then he got to his close, and he said, what dates of your the seminar? And he said the 27th. And I don't know what he said, but perhaps he said the 27th, right? My telemarketer then said, do you want to have Ron out? What did the guy say? Well, the guy actually didn't have a chance to say anything, because I was in the office next to my telemarketer, and I yelled, "Ah!" And it was a playful yell, but I started banging on his cubicle. At that point, you might say, Ron, why'd you do that? You were his boss, and there's no way he's going to get the business now. Well, guess what? He wasn't going to get the business anyways. He asked a stupid question. After my screaming and banging went on, and it was all good-natured. Everybody in the office was laughing. But as this was going on, after it stopped, I heard the telemarketer say, the obvious question the guy on the other end of the line asked was, what in the world was that? And my telemarketer said, that's Ron. Do you want to have him speak for your convention? We didn't get that meeting. But you know what? Never once did my telemarketer ask a stupid question again. A stupid question is one that doesn't lead them somewhere. You want to lead them. You want to ask an open-ended question. I was volunteering last summer. Texas, it's hot in the summer here. It gets incredibly hot in July and August. When Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, visited Texas, George W. Bush said, you know what, I'm going to have Vladimir Putin back, but next time he's going to visit my ranch in August in Texas. And then Vladimir Putin quipped back and said, well, that's fine, Mr. President, but I'm going to have you visit Siberia in the winter. It can get pretty hot here in Texas. And this event that I was volunteering at was my friend's event. He has a business, and he was trying to sell some things. We started at 8 o'clock in the morning at this booth, and we went all the way through the day. At 3 o'clock in the day, nothing was selling, nothing was moving. And I was kind of watching my friend. I was volunteering. I really wasn't a salesperson there. I was volunteering in another capacity. But I turned to my friend and I said, man, how much money do you need just to break even here today to pay for this booth at this event? He said, I need about $3,000. When he said that, my jaw dropped. The reason my jaw dropped is I knew we couldn't have sold more than $200 or $300. I looked over at the water bottles he had sitting there. He wasn't selling water bottles. He had these water bottles sitting there with his company name printed on the water bottle. He was giving them away. I said, man, I'm going to get get you closer to that $3,000. I don't know how close I'm going to get you, but I'm going to get you close. He looked at me with hope in his eye. There was about 250,000 people at this event. It was an outdoor event, and he had a booth there. I picked up that water bottle. Guess what? It was Texas. It was the middle of the summer. It was the heat of the day. Beads of perspiration were dripping down people's face. I walked out, and a lady walked by, and I got in her path, and I held a water bottle out, and I said, "Are you thirsty?" And she looked at me, and she said, "What?" I said, "Are you thirsty?" She said, "Yeah, I am." And I said, "Well, if you had this, you wouldn't be." And she looked at me, she looked at the water bottle, and she smiled. And I said, "I tell you what, I'll give it to you for $3. You can fill it up with water. You won't be thirsty the rest of the day." She said, "I'll take it." A friend looked at me in amazement. I took another one. Another person walked by, I stuck out, and I said, "Are you thirsty?" And they said, "Well, yes, I am." I said, "If you had this, you wouldn't be." I sold another one, $3. And that routine went on for hours, or at least 2 or 3 hours. And I recovered a lot of my friends' money that way. Why? Because I asked an open-ended question. I asked a question of involvement. That's what you want to do in sales. You want to ask a question that you already know the answer to. It's been said that lawyers don't ask a question unless they already know the answer to it. In sales, don't ask a question unless you already know the answer to it. The question might be, "Are you thirsty?" Of course they're thirsty. It's a question that leads them to the sales process. Don't walk up to somebody with that water bottle and say, "Hey, you should get this. You should fill this up. Look how nice it looks. Look at the logo on here. Look at this. It'll keep you." You're not selling. You're arguing. Are you thirsty? That's when you start to selling. Now, there's something that I call the 10 Commandments of selling. And these are the 10 Commandments, and I want you to take these very seriously, because if you do, I believe that they will catapult your sales. I genuinely believe that. The first commandment of selling is this: sell with pride and sell with enthusiasm. Be excited about the sales process. Whenever I get up on a platform as a speaker, I can't help but let the enthusiasm ooze out of my body. Why? Because number one, I'm selling. Right now I'm selling. Whether you think I'm selling or not, I am. I am selling you on the idea that sales is an honorable profession. If you're a parent, you're always selling. You're selling your kids on who to hang out with and what books to read. If you're selling cars, obviously you're selling. If you're selling real estate, you're obviously selling. But if you don't sell with pride and if you don't sell with enthusiasm, you better get another job. Now, what do I mean by with pride? I mean it's what we started with earlier today. Sales is an honorable profession. I have friends who are speakers, and the last thing they will ever do is give a sales pitch from the platform because they believe it lowers their dignity. Oh no, on the contrary. People love to buy. People enjoy being sold. So know that. And when you sell with pride. Sell with enthusiasm. That is the first commandment in the 10 Commandments of selling. The second commandment is show them how to purchase. Show them how to buy your product. Now, you may say, well, that's kind of self-explanatory. As self-explanatory as it is and as obvious as it is, you won't believe how many salespeople lose sales because they never showed the person how to purchase. In other words, let's say that I sold insurance, or I sold insurance. That's a good one, life insurance. And if I'm selling life insurance, if I have a form that you need to fill out to complete the process and buy life insurance with me, if that is part of the process, I must show you how to fill out that form. I need to draw an X right here and say, right, fill in, this is how you do, very assumptively. You get the form out and you show it to them and you say, you might want to, this is where you put your name, this is where you put your address, this is where you put your other personal information, this is how you do it, this is the boxes you check, this is how you do it, this is how you do it here. You are showing them how to purchase. That is such a crucial ingredient in the sales process. When I first started speaking, I sold tickets to live seminars, and I was horrible. I would get up there, I had enthusiasm, that was great, I was having fun, that was great, but I wasn't selling anything. And I asked a friend of mine who's a master salesman, I said, could you come with me and watch me speak and observe and find out what I'm doing wrong? No problem. He came to my speech. He watched me speak. At the end of my speech, nobody signed up, as usual. And he walked over to me and he said, Ron, you must show them how to enroll. I said, what are you talking about? He said they're all excited right now, but you've got all this excitement, this energy, and it's not going anywhere because you were not explaining to them how to sign up for your seminar. He said, try this. Next time you're speaking, hold up an example of an enrollment form. Tell them where to put their name and their address. Tell them what boxes to check and where to sign. He said, now, as crazy as this sounds, I want you to do that once, set it down, and talk about something else. And then I want you to hold up the form again, show them how to enroll, talk about something else, and then show them how to again. He said you have to do that several times during the process, or I guarantee you, after you talk, and even maybe then, they're going to come up to you and they're going to say, so how do I sign up for this thing? You know what? In my sales presentation, I started showing people how to enroll. I started walking them through the sales process. My sales skyrocketed. I was eliminating that one crucial ingredient. The third ingredient to the 10 commandments of selling is display your product with care. For example, let's say that you sell homes and you're showing homes, or you're previewing homes, as real estate agents call it. As you're showing somebody a home, treat that home with tremendous care. If you don't respect it, they're not going to respect it. And if they don't respect it, they probably won't buy it. What do I mean by that, by care? When you walk up to the door, maybe gently open the door. If you see some leaves on the porch there, and maybe if there's a broom there, or even if there's not, sweep them to the side with something. Find something to get that broom and clear the sidewalk a little bit. As you're walking, if you see trash in the yard, pick it up. Why? Because you're not telling your customer or your prospect, hey, I value this home. I want to keep it clean. But that's kind of what you're saying. You're saying, even if it's something simple, you are showing them that you care about your product. As a speaker, do you know what I do? When I have a CD album or a tape album or a book that I want to talk about and I want to encourage those in the audience to invest in, I handle it with care. Now, listen to the word I just used there. I said invest. Right? If you're a salesperson, I encourage you to use that word if you can and if it fits natural over saying buy. In other words, don't say when you buy this product, say this. When you invest in this car, or when you invest in this home, or when you invest in this CD album, you're using the word invest, and it makes it feel like that it's a wise financial decision. When you say buy, it doesn't carry the same amount of weight. Another real quick side note on that is if there's a place for the signature, you might want to say this is where you authorize it instead of saying this is where you sign. It's a little subtle word, but it could make a dramatic difference. As a speaker, whenever I have those CD albums up there, you know what I do? And I learned this from the greatest salesman of all time, in my opinion, and I'm a little bit biased, but I believe that is Brian Tracy. You know what Brian Tracy does? He gets the cellophane and he tears it off the CD package, and he opens it up and he carefully displays it to the audience. That's what I do. I tear that cellophane off. I hold the CD album close to my heart whenever I'm talking about it. You might think it sounds corny. It's not corny. It's showing you value your product. The fourth commandment in the 10 commandments of selling is this, and we kind of touched on it earlier. It's don't close. Assume. When the close comes in the sales presentation, you can see people always tense up. They get nervous at the close. Salespeople get nervous, and then the people in the audience get nervous, or your prospect gets nervous, or the people you're talking to gets nervous. Don't close, assume. Now, what do I mean by assume? What I mean is this. You just assume that they're going to want to buy your product. So when you get to the point of actually purchasing the product, you don't switch gears and give them some crazy close, although you can. There's some very professional closes that you can learn. The most valuable close, perhaps, is the assumptive close. And the assumptive close is this. Well, you look good in that car. You look good in that suit. You look good in those shoes. Hey, why don't you, all you got to do is fill this out right here, put your name right there, and we can make that suit an investment for you today. You know what I did? I signed on it right there. This guy who sold me this suit was a master of the assumptive close. I tried on this suit and I liked it, and I thought I was going to walk over to the counter and buy it. No, sir. Not in this professional salesperson's mind. He said, let me show you this. I'm going to show you this jacket over here. He goes, this jacket will go real good with those green slacks over there. Let me show you these green slacks. And he kept selling me close after close after close after close. And you know what? I finally realized he is not going to stop until I say, okay, this is all I want. I want no more. So finally I did that. He would be still, this was several days ago. He'd still be selling me if I hadn't said stop. Why? He was giving me the assumptive close. He was just assuming that I would want to buy. So after I bought this, he just kept going to the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. Assumptive close. It's powerful. Assume that they're going to buy from you. You won't get nervous and they won't get nervous, and it flows very naturally. The fifth commandment in the 10 commandments of selling is professionally answer objections. When somebody says, well, I'm not sure that that's going to fit me, or I'm not sure that this is going to work for me, or I'm not sure about this, or I'm not sure about that, or what about this? Let me assure you of this. Questions are buying signs. When somebody asks you a question, I get excited. When somebody asks me a question about my seminar or my CD or my books, I get excited. You know why I get excited? Because questions are buying signs. People who are not going to buy from you do not ask you questions. People who could potentially buy from you ask questions. If you handle those questions, those objections professionally and properly, you might earn their sale. How do you do that? You listen to the objection. You listen to what they have to say. See if there's merit to it. Then perhaps you repeat the objection back. They may say, I don't like brown in that product. You say, okay, you don't like brown? And then sometimes when you repeat it, it hits them. No, okay, brown's okay. And then the objection is answered. Handle objections professionally. Treat each objection as valid, because you know what? It is valid. And if you don't think it's valid as they're driving away in their car, that's valid. And you'll remember that, right? So answer those objections and treat questions as buying signs. The sixth commandment in the 10 commandments of selling is tell a story, if possible, about your product, of someone who used it. Let's say that you sell supplements, diet supplements. Find someone who used your product or story, a true story, by the way, a story that demonstrates your product and how others used it. You might say, you know, we had a gentleman and he bought these supplements and he was on them for 6 weeks or 2 months. And you know what? He called me up and he told me that he had lost 30 pounds or whatever it is. Just make sure it's true. But as you're telling this story, what you're doing is you're making them visualize in their mind what could possibly happen to them. Maybe if you sell a car, tell the story about somebody who bought this car and he went on a vacation and he didn't give him any problems and he put 10,000 miles on the car. Tell a story. People like hearing stories. And when you tell a story, you're also saying, hey, others have tried this product. They've tested the value of this product and it's worked well for them. So I'm going to imply that it's going to work well for you as well. And that's the sixth commandment of selling. The seventh commandment of selling is realizing that buying is an emotional decision. Buying is not a logical decision. It is an emotional decision. Now, you want to give people logic so they can back up their purchase. For example, if somebody purchases a car, they're doing it a lot of times on emotion. You might ask them questions like, can you see yourself in this car? And you know what? When they see themselves in that car, the emotion gets up because they realize how enjoyable that would be. Or they may be buying clothes and you might say, you know what? You look really good in those clothes. You've just got their emotions up. Buying is an emotional decision. Now, do you want to still give them logical reasons to buy? You better believe you do. But those reasons are not to make them buy. You could sit down with somebody and you could talk to them for hours and give them, these are the logical reasons you need to buy this product. It's logical to buy this because of this, 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 and this. It is logical to invest in this product. I suggest you invest in it because it's on sale right now, and that is logical. Well, guess what? You're not going to sell a lot. You need to involve their emotions because buying is an emotional decision. You need to get them to visualizing themselves in the future, owning that product. Ask them questions that will see them looking into the future and see them succeeding or using that product in a successful way. The next commandment for selling is our eighth commandment. And that eighth commandment says this: never wing it. Never, ever wing it. I know salespeople, and I talked to a salesperson recently, and I said, this is a new product. How are you going to sell this product? Don't you want to prepare for it? He said, nah, I'll just wing it. I'm just going to wing it. Guess what? Maybe he's awesome. This guy's an incredible salesperson, so perhaps he can wing it. But you know what? Why? Why risk it? Why wing it? A salesperson who is a top performing salesperson is always a very well organized sales professional. Zig Ziglar tells the story of when he used to do door-to-door sales. He would sit down the night before his sales calls, and he would draw out a map of which houses he was going to go to and what order to manage his time more professionally. There is no glory in winging it. There's no glory in getting there out in the middle of your day and say, well, I'm going to go make this sales call, and then I'm going to go do this, or this is how I'm going to answer the objections, or I'm just going to let the information flow off my tongue. There's no glory in winging it. The glory comes at your annual sales meeting when you are honored as the top salesperson. And you are honored as that because you are well prepared, because you are organized, because you sold with pride and enthusiasm. Don't wing it. Number 9, the 9th commandment of selling is you want to give them a reason to act today in what I call the Godfather offer. You want to give them a reason to purchase your product now. In my seminars, I ask people, I say, raise your hand if you're a procrastinator. Some people do, some people don't. And I say, for those of you who didn't raise your hand, it's because you're going to raise it later, right? People are natural-born procrastinators, and it's human nature. As a salesperson, though, you have to overcome this. You have to combat procrastination, because if you let people, they'll say, you know what? That's a good insurance policy, or that's a good home, or that's a good mortgage, or that's a good car, or that's a good suit. But you know what? I want to think about it. I want to come back later. You must give them a Godfather close or a Godfather offer, a reason to invest today. And remember, use that word investment. Perhaps you give them a special deal. You cut it off 50%, or you throw in a bonus gift or a bonus purchase if they invest today. You must make it a Godfather offer. You must make it an offer that they can't refuse. If you don't, they're going to walk away. The odds of you getting their business after they walk away after your initial contact is dramatically gone down. The 10th and final commandment in selling is ask for referrals. Brian Tracy and Brian Buffini, both who are master salesmen, tell us that everybody we come into contact with and we sell has a sphere of influence, our referral base of 260 people. Whenever you can ask them for referrals, this is how you do it. You, at the end of your sales process, after they've purchased from you, you say, you might call them up on the phone. Are you enjoying your car? Or you might call them up on the phone. Are you enjoying your new home? Or you might call them up on the phone and say, how's that new insurance policy? Do you have more peace of mind knowing that you have that? After they say yes, then you might say, well, you know what? I tell you what, my business is run on referrals. I know you enjoyed this product. Who else do you know who might enjoy this product? You have to think for them. You have to say, do you know any doctors or people who are managers of companies or people at your Rotary Club or Chambers of Commerce? And just write them down. Ask for referrals. Networking referrals is the difference between making a living and making a fortune in the sales industry. I've given you 10 commandments today, the 10 commandments of selling. Guys, I don't know if you can tell it or you can sense it through this camera here, but I am enthusiastic about selling. I embody the first commandment of selling, and that is sell with pride and sell with enthusiasm. I share with you right now, you're always selling. I'm selling you right now on the idea that you should use these 10 commandments of selling. I hope that you do. If you're a salesperson, remember it's an honorable profession, it's a dignified profession, and it is an art. Master that art, follow the 10 commandments, and watch your sales skyrocket.